Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the show. John Henry Soto here with you as always. It is April 14th, 2026, 7 a.m. here in Nashville, Tennessee. This is a live morning space for artists, filmmakers, musicians, creators who are navigating the real world of making art. On this show, as always, we talk about positivity, but not that fluffy, corny kind. We talk about what actually stops artists from moving forward, the struggles we all face, and how to move through them with clarity and purpose. We'll also highlight good things happening in the industry, share ideas, suggestions, and practical advice. And most importantly, have honest conversations. This is a live show. So if you're here, feel free to ask questions or join in. This is a place to reset, get grounded, and start the day moving forward as an artist. And good morning, everyone. I hope you're all doing well out there. It is a beautiful day here. It's going to be sunny, I think. I don't even know. I thought I heard it was going to be sunny today. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. But I hope you're doing well and it's sunny where you are. Today we're going to talk about being different. And being different can sometimes feel like a weight that you didn't ask to carry for. And it can be beneficial in certain industries, right? But it also can be very distracting. It can also get a lot of people staring at you. That happens a lot to me. um just I think because I'm short, I think that might actually be my superpower. Believe it or not, it gets me in the door. I don't look intimidating. I can look intimidating if I want to look intimidating, but I'm not intimidating. So I go in kind of with a friendly attitude. Usually, when I'm working somewhere, or I'm going to work somewhere, or I'm going to have a conversation with somebody, approachable, and I think that is my superpower, as well as an ability to listen and to respond and to really be there, on in the present moment, and not be thinking about my next line. You know how people sometimes, when you're talking to someone, you see them dozing off somewhere. You see them kind of fading, and you realize it's not really what you're saying. It's just that they're thinking about what you had just said and they're waiting to respond. So they haven't caught anything you said after the thing that triggered their brain to want to say something. And now they're stuck on that thing. So from the moment that you say something interesting to them, that they now don't want to continue listening because they want to really talk about this one thing that you triggered their brain, they're not listening to anything you're saying after that point. It's very interesting. Look for those things. If you look different, move different, or think in ways that don't match the crowd, the world can sometimes remind you of it in subtle and not so subtle ways. People stare, question, judge, or try to fit you in a box that was never built for you. That kind of pressure can make you want to shrink, to blend in, to smooth out the edges, and actually make you that and that kind of pressure can make you want to shrink, to blend in, to smooth out the edges that actually make you who you are. But the truth is, the very thing that makes you feel out of place are often the same things that make you uncomfortable, unforgettable. It is early. I'm trying to get my words out. I'm going to read that whole paragraph again because it's a good line, and I want you to really understand what that means. The truth is, the very things that make you feel out of place are the same things that make you unforgettable. That is the key thing. You're uncomfortable because you're different, and you're different, and you're being made uncomfortable. And I sound like Kamala, right? Today is today, tomorrow is tomorrow, yesterday is tomorrow, tomorrow, and today is today. Okay, so anyway, whether it's a unique physical trait, a different way of expressing yourself, or a mindset that doesn't follow trends, those differences hold power. They give you a perspective others don't have. And while it may feel isolating at times, it's also what gives you the ability to see the world and create within it in a way that stands apart. See, that's the whole key thing, right? It's like you having that ability to First of all, having the awareness to know that you're different is a huge power in itself. To know that you have something else to add. You have a different perspective on life. And you may not even know what that is, but you do have it. And having the awareness that you have those things, not being manic about it in some weird way, but having the awareness that, yeah, I do think differently. This is how I am. This is who I am. I'm not going to give up on that. That is a superpower. I'm telling you, especially in the arts, being different isn't just helpful, it's necessary. If you sound like everyone else, look like everyone else, and move like everyone else, you disappear into the noise. The artists who break through are the ones who lean into what makes them unique, even when it's uncomfortable. That takes courage because it means risking rejection. We talk a lot about rejection here, right? It also opens the door to connection because authenticity resonates in a way imitation never can. When you're different, when you have some unique perspective to life, or you look different, or you sound different, or you talk different, or you have different views, or you communicate in a different way, all these things are who you are. That's your authenticity. As you get into the industry and as you start getting into whatever industry that you're, if it's entertainment, you start observing others, right? You start looking at them, you start seeing what they're doing, you start seeing what they're doing, and then you start adjusting yourself to try to see, to try to fit into what they're doing, because what they're doing seems to be working for them, not necessarily for you, but for them. That whole thing can really pull you away from your art, pull you away from who you are, who you were actually meant to be, who God created. That just pulls you away. You're no longer that who you are. You're now adjusting to this thing. I look at artists that just don't waver about things like that, and it's very interesting because they've created such a unique package of who they are. I'm talking about like the Michael Jacksons and Prince and Elton John, the Sting. Um, Gosh, I mean, there's so many you can name. They kind of just stuck to who they are and never wavered, and everyone else had to kind of adjust to them, and they created the shift. They created people wanting to be like them, and that was because they kept their authenticity from day one and built on it. I'm sure there were moments here and there where they were struggling with their identity and trying to figure it out, but it was always their music and their art and them as individuals that really shaped their careers, and really was what made them interesting to us, was that those differences, right? When we first saw Michael Jackson with the white glove and the high waters with the silvery socks and the hat and all the things that he did, that was a unique thing that we really or didn't know. That was his authentic. He built that. He felt it inside of him, and he put it together, and he became this thing. He visualized it, right? And sometimes, when you want to be authentic and you're trying to like say, okay, I want to communicate this way, but I'm nervous about it because you have to then really start building it and start visualizing yourself doing those things. Put yourself in that position. How would it look like if I did that? And Michael Jackson famously has a sheet of paper that he wrote, I will be the biggest star, I would be unique, I'll be different. He wrote all these words, these little sentences on a sheet of paper, because he was visualizing himself. He was putting it into the physical universe and saying that I'm going to become this thing. He probably didn't even know what it was. He had no idea, but it turned out pretty well for him, I think. um, so we talk about rejection, right? And at the end of the day, when you separate yourself from the pack, it isn't about just trying to be different for the sake of it. It's about being honest about who you are. It's about owning your story, your voice, your look, your energy. That's what people remember. That's what creates impact. Being different may come in with challenges, but it also comes with the opportunity to lead, to inspire, and to show others that standing out isn't something to fear. It's something to step into. That is a really, really good, valid point, too, right? Because, even though it can be a challenge, and it can be very, very nerve-wracking, and um when you get rejected you just feel so horrible, all these things. But just think about you putting yourself in the position that others wish they could even be aware that they can do that. So now you're inspiring, you're standing out, and you're showing them that fear isn't something to fear. Fear is just, it's just an opportunity that you haven't actually overcome yet. That's all it is. Something, an unknown that you're concerned about, but that you have every single opportunity to overcome, to confront. Confront is a big thing too, right? Because when you're confronting something and you're able to take a deep breath, and you're like, okay, this is who I am. I don't care what people think. You have that conversation with yourself and really have it. Don't be embarrassed. I mean, nobody's gonna be there, right? Just have that conversation. Be like, man, whew, okay, shake it off. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna do this. I don't care. I'm gonna do this. And I tell you, it changes the game when you get to that point and you start really confronting things, and you start implementing these tools, simple tools. You will be amazed at how fast you start feeling more like yourself. And then it becomes kind of natural. And then you don't even question it anymore. And people talk to you and you respond as yourself. And you know what? 99% of the time when you respond as yourself, people aren't going to understand it. They aren't going to like it either. They're going to question it. They're going to try to move you into what they need done. They're going to try to shift you. They're going to try to say, hey, here's a great opportunity. We're going to shift you into this ball, and we're going to put you over here because this is the hole we need to fill. We need to fill this hole here. And you're like, well, no, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do it. No, I'm doing this. How dare you? You have to fit in. You got to do what we're doing, or else what's the point, right? When you get into that position and you get that pushback, just know you're on the right track. Unless you're a jerk or something, and just mistreating people. I'm not. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about you kind of like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go build a band. I'm gonna go start this new jazz trio. What jazz trio? No, you got to come over here and do this thing with us. Nah, I'm gonna go do that thing. Thank you though. Just like that. But, and you walk away. Like, I'm gonna go do this thing that I want to do because that's what you want to do. It's your authentic self. You're being you. When you stop being you, who you're being. It's like be yourself because everyone else is taken. That's a real true thing. Be yourself. Nobody else is, you can't be anyone else. You can try to pretend to be something that you're not. That seems to be pretty popular in Los Angeles and in the arts itself. Try to pretend to be something you're not. And then you can just sit there and be like, okay, this is who I really am. This is what I'm building. This is what I'm attempting to do. You can have confidence in your abilities, but still not know. You can have, you don't have to be so, you have to be confident in your efforts. You have to be confident in your communication to people, of what you want to do, you know, but you may not know how to do it, but you're saying, well, this is what I'm doing. I don't know how to do it, but I'm going to figure it out. Right. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I'm going to get there. And you start and you have that attitude, and you continue to show who you are step by step, being more and more authentic. And I tell you, you wake up one day and you don't even realize, but you forget who that other person was that you were trying to attempt. And then you start pulling in opportunities. You start pulling in people that gravitate to authenticity, and they gravitate to whatever it is you're doing that may be out of the box and a little bit different and unique. It's a wonderful, wonderful feeling. And I have to tell you that it doesn't take a few days, it takes a while, because we've been conditioned to go with the flow, to fit in. We've been conditioned, we've been indoctrinated in schools that this is how we do it. we raise our hands, we get in line, we, all these concepts, are life, are implemented into a person's psyche where they don't even realize it, that they're now standing online, they're trying to fit in, they're raising their hand, excuse me, they're very intimidated. School basically beats your creativity out of you. People may disagree with that, and that's fine. I don't really care. But the idea that there's this incredible social skills that you get in college, in school, it's not true at all. Kids, they're kids that can barely go anywhere. Adults, 18 years old, over 18 years old, that need somebody to make a phone call for them, and they can't go somewhere by themselves. They have to be accompanied by their parents or an older sibling or somebody. They just can't do it. Well, that's school. People, they might say it's not. It's just that it's just them. They're shy or whatever they want to say. But school, you get put in a room. Now, not everyone is equal, right? Some kids do really well. They're like, hey, they're in front of the class. They're talking. They're just naturally have it. Other kids have to be built in them. They have to kind of like do construction confronting drills and do certain things that school's not going to do for them. It's not, school's not going to uh uh have you do drills on what to say in certain situations. They're just not going to do that. They're going to teach you their whatever subjects that they have there in the curriculum, and then you have to raise your hand to speak, get in line, don't talk online, don't talk in class, don't talk in the lunchroom, don't make any too much noise. You start at this time, you get out at this time. That's not freedom. That's not socialization. That's indoctrination, right? And so now these kids graduate, from school, and even from college, even from, I mean, from big schools, and because they're coddled in these systems so much, when they get out, put out into the world, and I've talked about this before, they are shocked that their boss demands them to be on time every single day, 5 days a week. What are you doing? I'm paying you. Why are you late? Oh, well, I just stopped off for some coffee. No, we don't do that here. I'm paying you. That's college, you know. And so they're not taught to be their authentic self. They're not taught to be different if they are different. They're not, it's not embraced. It's actually, it's discouraged. It's say, hey, no, 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 no. You got to fit in. Come on, here. Everybody, put on this T-shirt. Everybody, put on here's your merch for your school. Dress like this. Let's all do this. Then when we go to jobs, we all wear suits. We wear ties. We wear. You have to dress like this, or else you can't work here. And yet you look at some of the most famous billionaires that operate businesses. How do they dress? How does Mark Zuckerberg dress? You know. Um, I mean, you can go to, how does Elon Musk dress? They dress the way they want to dress. It's their style. Donald Trump has a suit with the red tie, and that's his monkey suit, right? They all have their own style. Jeff Bezos. You can go on and on and on. Look at all these guys. Mark Cuban. They do their own thing because they're authentic. They're just doing what they want to do. And even though, they, I'm sure, have run into issues and they're awkward in certain areas, they're still pushing to be themselves. They're struggling with it, but they are being themselves. And that's the key factor, is the push, you know, keep pushing, keep saying, this is not who I am. Why am I behaving this way? This is not who I am. I'm going to be who I am. I'm going to say the things I want to say. And if people don't like it because they're trying to push me into an area, or I'm saying I want to do this, and like last night I was having a conversation with someone, and um I said something that I wanted to do, and they were like, well, how about this, and how about that, and how about this? I already had it in my head of what I'm doing. And it's nice that they're suggesting, and I do listen, and maybe something will trigger and be like, you know what, that is a good idea, because I'm in the moment and I'm listening. And if it is a good idea, I'll say, hey, you know what, that's a good idea, you're right, I'm going to do it that way, actually. And if it's not a good idea, you're like, okay, no, I got that, but I think I'm going to do it my way. I want to try it this way, especially if you've done it in the past. You gotta defend yourself, man. You gotta defend yourself. You're the only you out there. And we need you. We need your art. We need your ability. We need your skills. We need your spiritual energy to inject into the world and to make it a better place. We need you. If you're hiding behind because you're afraid that somebody's going to judge you or you're going to get rejected, come on, take that off. Get out there and do this. You can do this. It's up to you. No one's going to come and save you. That's what my show is going to be about tomorrow. It's like no one's coming. No one is coming. There's no knight in shining armor. There's no damsel that's going to come in and just and make you so in love with her that you're going to change and you're going to become yourself. No, it's you. It's the work that you got to put in. You got to write down, who am I? What do I want to do? What am I accomplish? What are my goals? What do I love? What do I love? If there was one thing that I could spend the rest of my life doing that I won't even hesitate, what is that? What is it? Is it cooking? Is it cleaning? Is it sleeping? Maybe you become a sleep expert. I don't know. That's not going to work. But, all these things, it's like you have to kind of sit down with yourself and have a board meeting with yourself and ask, what is it that you want to do? Where's this power coming from? Man, it's so important to do that. And you have it in you, and I know you do. And I've struggled with it for years. I still struggle, but I wake up in the morning and I'm like, okay, I got to get up. I got to go do these things. I'm going to go continue to try to be more and more authentic me because I owe it to myself. I owe it to God. I owe it to my family to try to live the happy life that I know once I'm living a happy and authentic life, I can impact other lives because it's much easier because there's no filter there. There's nothing that you're pretending. Uh, there's nothing blocking those emotions and that direction you want to go in. It's all very free. So be free. You can do it. All right, friends. Want to thank you so much for tuning in. As always, God bless you for being here. If you're watching this today live on April 14th, 2026, thank you so much. If you're watching this in 100 years, what would 100 years would be 2126, April 14th, 2126. If somehow this message or this energy or this thing has still survived that long, God bless you too. All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. I'll see you all tomorrow morning. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. God bless. And as always, peace. Oh, before I say peace, I want to say Q&A April 22nd with George Batista. It's live. It's going to be awesome. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be an awesome, awesome thing. I'm going to start promoting this more while for the next until the time for the next week, and I'm going to be there myself, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm going to start promoting this in the beginning of the show because doing it at the end doesn't work. All right, friends. Thank you very much again, and as always, peace.